Yeah, come on. The next thing I want to get out of my head is something that's stressing me out. It's the kind of thing that I'm waking up at the crack of dawn, doing that Hitler punch. You know, that Hitler-esque knocking when he... You know? That's what I'm doing with my life. Why is that? Because I'll tell you something. The only difference between Hitler or any other genocidal person who has existed in humanity and an ordinary citizen who lives there day to day and communicates with us via Instagram and Twitter is power. That's it. Because if it were up to normal people, they'd kill everyone too. Every normal citizen has the rage of a Hitler. That's what I'm telling you. And I'm going to prove to you now that the people are the biggest genocidaires in the world. The people are potentially more genocidal than any dictator, any real genocide that has ever taken place in human history. Mao Zedong is nothing compared to a guy who is addicted to Twitter and social media and debates with everyone. Stalin is a small thing compared to people who want to cancel the others on the internet. Lenin is nothing compared to people who threaten other people with death because she called her boyfriend autistic in an Instagram story. How dare you? Have a moment of intimacy with your boyfriend and play with him? How dare you? Kill that person. Everyone is Hitler. Today is the Genocidal Podcast. I'll tell you something, man, and I'm going to prove to you now that the big problem with humanity is the dumb person who wants to improve the world. It's the donkey who thinks he's not a donkey. It's the donkey who thinks he has the answers. Because I'm going to tell you something now, man. I know I'm stupid. And when I realized that I'm dumb, I thought, nothing matters. I'm going to laugh at everything that happens in this universe. And I'm going to enjoy it until my last day alive in this life. Laughing at things without taking anything seriously, without wanting to change other people, without giving anyone a hard time. I'm going to... How do you say it? What's the word? I'm going to withdraw into my insignificance. I'm going to find peers who also want to enjoy our insignificance. That's you from the Saco Cheo podcast. The people who are following me here and Cayo del Aqua, got it? The people who subscribe to Saco Cheo TV, the people who come to my shows. I'm going to get these people together and we're going to stay here, man. Because when we realized that we were stupid, we thought, if I'm stupid and nothing I think is true, if everything I think last week and the next week I don't know is true, how am I going to be able to swear and point the finger at someone not in a humorous way? Understand? How am I going to demand that someone does something different from what they're doing if I don't understand what I'm doing? And from that moment on, I started laughing at everything and finding it very funny. I started to enjoy myself and I was free to talk nonsense and shit, which is what you'll find here on the Saco Cheo podcast. So what happened 1 or 2 weeks ago is that one of these mini genocides, that's what I'm going to start calling the people now. The people. Will the electoral debate start now? What is that? It's a bunch of psychopaths trying to manipulate a bunch of genocidaires. That's what democracy is, man. It's a bunch of psychopaths in suits and ties talking about numbers, feeding a bunch of psychopaths to argue on the internet. That's what democracy is, man. Democracy is for rewarding psychopaths with jobs and salaries and for massaging the egos of people who haven't yet understood that they're stupid. That's what democracy is, man. Is the podcast too down today? Not funny? Why not? Why isn't it funny today? Do I look like a clown today? Yeah. So, what happened, man? It was on the 73rd podcast. I was talking about the girl who wants to change the language. The girl everyone calls. That's another thing I'm going to talk about here, man. I was thinking about it this week too. I'll just open a parenthesis. I'll talk about the genocidal people we have here on the internet later. Let's go. I was thinking about this gender-neutral girl. I was thinking, hey Bruno, cut it out so we can post it on the Saco Cheo podcast. I was thinking again about this gender-neutral girl, because my clip on the Saco Cheo podcast clips has had a lot of hits, with over 300,000 views. I started thinking about this girl again. I started thinking, first point, she's a very rich person. She's a very rich person, and she wants to tell people how to speak. Basically, a Stalin, right? First point. So, as she's a very rich person, she gets... Because it's just like, I am a man, for lack of time. Because if I had, I've never thought about my sexuality, you know? I've never thought about it. Because rich people who have nothing to do are like that. They do nothing. Because everything is paid for. All her bills are paid. Uber picks her up and takes her wherever she wants. There's iFood. She has a mansion. She lives in New York. She has air conditioning. She doesn't have to do anything. So she has time to stare at the wall and deconstruct everything in her life. But that's the point. I like deconstruction. Because in order to do what I do, I have to deconstruct the world and try to see it differently. I understand what she's doing. That's nice. But what's the point she hasn't grasped? She wants to change because she is like... Her point is, there are people who don't know if they're a man or a woman. And whether you're a man or a woman is imposed by society. If you were born with a penis, people say you're a man and start giving you information about how to act in the world because you're a man. Okay, got it. And then she says, so in fact, nobody has a gender. So we have to change the language to call everyone X. But that's where I'm going to catch you. Because what's the big deal? Language. You can also deconstruct the language and say that the X is masculine. You can say that she means man. Understand? Why don't you deconstruct language too? Do you understand me? Nobody understands anything I'm saying. Do you understand? Why did you take just one part of humanity to deconstruct and not deconstruct the language too? Because like, on the one hand, you don't like people classifying themselves as men and women, she and he. But then you take the same rule as those people you don't like and you want to use it. Let's pretend I am neutral. And started to deconstruct everything. I don't know if I'm a man or a woman. Understand? I don't know. When someone calls me he, in my head I'll deconstruct this word and pretend that he is neutral. I'll say, he. That's right. Because he is neutral. Do you understand what I mean? Can't you understand? Can you understand? Deconstruct one more ahead. Don't just deconstruct what interests you. The feminine too. Her. Deconstruct the her and start to reframes the her. So now from now on, the her is masculine, or it's neutral. The word her is neutral. She is neutral. So every time someone calls you she, you think, oh, it's neutral, because in my life, she is neutral. That's what I was thinking. And the second thing I was thinking about her is like this. I'm a man because I'm a man, you know? I was born. And then taught, pussy, I like pussy. Woman, I like woman. I am heterosexual. That's it. I didn't think about it, you know? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, but that's not what I want to talk about. But this is a kind of Stalin we have in humanity, you know? I'm going back to the genocide now. The biggest genocide there, which is the citizen who wants, I don't know what he wants. What happened? I made a joke on the podcast when I was talking about this gender neutral girl. And after a while I said that. I said this is what happens when you say yes a lot to your daughter. Then she wants to deconstruct the language and create a new grammar, you know? And then I started joking about the role of an absent father in people's lives. When the father leaves, the person feels very angry and starts to move in the world and doesn't have time to think about anything silly because they're so angry in the world and they start to do things, you know? Then I said, cheers for all the fathers who abandon their families. Then this Hitler child. You can pull that up. He took an excerpt from my podcast and posted it on his Instagram. Some things are better left unsaid. You need to think a bit more before you speak stupid things. And he tagged me. Play the video. Yeah, you can play it. The father gets the mother pregnant. After a while, the father leaves. And then you're left with that feeling of anger, that feeling of, but the one that makes you move. Because they're still your mother, and your mother goes crazy because she has to be father and mother. So she gives you a hard time, but she gives you love in a very crazy way. And this situation makes you want to get out of the house and make things happen. Real things. Not that shit, you know? So that's it, man. Cheers to all the fathers who abandon their children. And all the mothers who needs to take care of their children alone at home. And you have to be a father and a mother. And they make people feel mildly depressed. A depression that makes the guy want to do things, you know? This shit right here. No. If your son wants to reformulate his vocabulary, you're wrong, man. I want to know who this person's parents are. I'm asking you, how does a guy see this and think it's serious? How does a guy see that and he can't? There are only two options. That's the problem of the mini Hitler. That he is the dumb guy who wants to change the world, you know? And because he's stupid, he wants the donkey with initiative. That's humanity's big problem. The Flow logo appeared. Was it just here or there too? Only here. Okay. Why did this guy do this, man? How can he see that and not understand that I'm joking? Or not understand? How does the guy think anyone would say, cheers to fathers who abandon their families and mean it? And then when people responded, this is comedy, you idiot, the guy asked, in what context giving cheers to parents who abandon their children is comedy? Dude, if you don't know, you don't go spreading an excerpt without context, without knowing what's going on, throwing me to the... I'm glad this guy isn't well known. But if he were a little better known, the guy throws me for the lions to eat, you know? Because this guy has the mind of a Hitler. That's what he wants. He wants to kill. He wants to destroy someone who is doing something that he doesn't even understand what it is. Man, I hate the people. I hate the people. I hate the public. I hate people. I hate people. I hate people, man. Look at the normal person, the person you walk by and see in the street and say good morning to. Look at this guy's mentality. It's impossible to live, man. That's what I'm telling you. That's why I want to resurrect Hitler and talk to him. Man, your plan was right. You missed the target. These are not the guys you thought you were supposed to kill. I'd like to put little hats on everyone, just so he could hunt everyone down, you know? I would put a hat on everyone. And then I'd say, go get them, Hitler. On everyone. Jews, Arabs, Muslims, men and women, gay, straight, everyone. I want to put little hats on everyone. For Hitler to come go mad and clean up the scum that is humanity, man. We're the real coronavirus. That's what I'm telling you. Humanity is the real coronavirus. It's humanity that does this kind of thing. And like, I don't mind the fact itself, because nothing happened. What annoys me is the guy's stupidity. What did he think was going to happen, man? What did he think I was doing? Did he think I was serious? How can the guy see that and not realize it? Ah, this guy is probably joking. Because it's fucking absurd what he's talking. And yes, there is a context. The great thing is, I took an absurd thesis and I tried to find an angle where it's good for a father to abandon his family. And that's the basis of comedy, man. You find an absurd argument and try to justify it. That's the context now, okay? That's the context. But if you don't know what the context is, you don't take the video and spread it around to try to do justice. I don't know what these guys want to do, man. What have we done to humanity, man? What have we done? In the old days, this guy would probably see this on television and he'd be curious. He'd think, man, what is this guy doing? I've never seen him before. I wonder what he's talking about. Nowadays, nobody's curious about anything anymore. Everyone knows everything. Everyone has their own strong positions, and everyone wants to destroy anyone else who deviates a little from what he's used to from the comfort of his cell phone. That's it, man. That's humanity today. Cheers to the coronavirus. It's helping to clean up the scum that is humanity. Fuck it. Fuck you. I've had enough, man. I've had enough. Let's go. Let's go to the next one now. Speak up, guys. If you like this cut here, go to sacocheo.tv, the Sacocheo podcast. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, every Friday on sacocheo.tv. So go there. It's a way for you to help this podcast financially to keep going. This is just a snippet. This podcast is very big, very cool. Sacocheo TV, go there. Thanks.